Channel 10.
Today's episode of Channel 10 Podcast is brought to you by channel10podcast.com. When you go to channel10podcast.com, you can check out our back catalog of great episodes, and you can also help support the show by clicking the store link and purchasing some Channel 10 Podcast merchandise. With that, let's start the show.
We used to be like CNN Channel 10. And we used to think that people would catch on. But if you're not from Queens, if you don't got Time Warner or whatever, like, well, I didn't know that.
Do it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo.
Call is now being recorded.
Yo. We're back once again. Channel 10 Podcast, channel10podcast.com. Hit us up, channel10podcast at Gmail. I am the almighty AR, and I'm alongside
Singodsuperior.
And we haven't hit you with an episode in a minute. It's been a lot going on in between Baltimore and Oklahoma. But how's everything, man? How have you been?
I've been good, man. Just trying to, acclimate to the, the atmosphere of Oklahoma once again. For the second or third time. And as you know, I'm finishing up a very important semester, so.
Yeah, well, congratulations, man. You're almost to the finish line. And you made it out of Baltimore just in time, that's all I can say, because right now it is pure madness with the snow.
Yeah, man. I realized that I tend to always leave whenever something big happens.
Yeah, this time it's it's the worst snowstorm ever in recorded history. And all the schools are closed. A lot of the lanes are considered to be passable, meaning it might only be one lane for a two-way street. And it's really getting old and it's tiring. You gotta, fight for parking. This is the first year I've ever put out a chair for a parking spot. That's how bad it is.
Really?
Yeah. I had to do the Baltimore tradition.
Damn. Well, yeah.
Hold up, you're breaking up.
Really ignorant niggerish. Huh?
Breaking up.
I can't hear you.
I said you're breaking up.
Oh yeah, you're breaking up too. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. Alright, I have, a pretty niggerish question.
What's that?
Alright, so based on the amount of travel that you told me that you had to do, the 2 hours between, getting your mother and going to the market, and just the difficulty of getting around, period.
Mm-hmm.
Is it harder to get around in this snowstorm compared to the riots?
Huh. I'm gonna say yes. The difficult thing about the riots was the curfew. And with the curfew, as the curfew time approached, people just started driving real crazy in the street. So, you just had to just be on extra vigilance. But getting around with the riot wasn't too bad if you stayed out of certain areas where there might have been a protest or where there was something going on. So I think with the riot it was more just so, a fear of what might happen with a lot of people, versus here it's like everything is already done, and then now we just have all this white stuff everywhere that we just had to deal with.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of interesting, right? You had the riots to kind of deal with the white stuff, and now white stuff comes back.
Oh man, that might be episode title, White Stuff.
But yeah, like I remember, me like leaving Baltimore at the right time. I think that when those crazy electrical storms started happening.
Oh, you mean the Derico, when it was like a hurricane that came from the middle of the country over the mountains and just knocked everything out for a week?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that it was a scientific name for him. I just remember when you texted me like, "Yo," like I think I was coming out like something, and like, "Yo, shit is crazy right now." I'm thinking you were like talking about something going on with family members, and you were talking about electrical storms, and I still didn't understand it until I finally came back and I saw the mayor making national headlines and just being on the news talking about these electric storms, and I thought she was a scientist at first, talking about the Derico and what happens and how it affects wires and shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because it was so unexpected, and it just, I mean, we just thought it was just going to be a regular storm, but it was just trees down everywhere, blocking streets. There were like long lines at McDonald's. I mean, it really looked like a post-apocalyptic reality, and it just made me think, like, man, we got to be ready, like on some Alex Jones type. Stock up the bunker and get ready for the impending doom.
Yeah, I mean, and you went out. You were without power for what, three days?
No, I was out of power for a little over 7 days.
Oh my god! Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like the whole areas were out of power for a long time. So like in the beginning, I had to drive out to Ellicott City to get to charge my phone.
You couldn't charge your phone in your car after a while?
Nah, because remember my my car charger thing didn't work. So, and then the power was out everywhere, so I just had to drive real far until I could find somewhere that had power. And then all the gas stations, they couldn't pump gas, so I had to like find somewhere to pump gas. Like, it was a mess.
Yeah.
You can't stop nature.
I mean, you can't, man. And I wonder, since we're so used to electricity, and as you know, I had that issue when I came back of all times, when our circuit breaker pretty much caught on fire.
Oh yeah. And
we were without power for about 20 hours, and there's all of the weird things that you think about, that you can do to get around it and stuff like that. And I wonder, since studies have shown that our brains have changed, of course, because of computers and everything, this whole entire digital age. I wonder if there's some type of a positive effect that our brains get when we are without power, and it forces us to become more creative.
Yeah, I do think there's something to that. Also, it's interesting, like, I guess you could consider us to be kind of domesticated humans. And they say with certain animals that haven't been as domesticated over, like, thousands and, eons and all of that, like that many years. Like, let's say you have a domesticated cat. A domesticated cat can go back into the wild and turn back into, like, a wild cat in a pretty short span of time. And then also in that time, they change physically depending on their environment. I think it's the same thing with dogs as well, and like wolves. Like if you get a wolf and like try to domesticate it, I think they were saying like their ears become floppy and stuff like that. So, maybe if we had us city slickers with no type of survival training or anything like that, we might turn into Rambo or something. It needed.
That's interesting. Well, I guess lucky for me, I have my wilderness survival merit badge.
Yep.
So always got that in my rifle merit badge.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of Walking Dead, so.
Yeah, so that's all we need.
right? But man, I'm just looking online, you know, before we got on the show, to switch gears a little bit. Man, it's a crazy night in hip hop right now.
Okay.
So right now, Drake just dropped a song, you know, dropping little disses to Meek Mill and Tory Lanez, and he dropped it on his OVO Sound radio show on Beats One, and that's, you know, pretty interesting. He's taking over the trending topics right now. And then Drake on his radio show dropped a Nas verse over Future's trap classic March Madness. And, you know, Nas is killing it. And it kind of reminds me of back in the day, like the shock and surprise when he was on that Braveheart song, Quick to Back Down with Lil Jon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like, you know, how even like a hardcore hip-hop head, you know, when you heard Nas on there, it still sounded good, and you, like, had no, you know, even the most anti-Lil Jon type person was like, all right, that joint is kind of all right.
Mm. Well, I mean, I guess this kind of makes sense. Nas jumping on the March Madness beat because they have the same manager, Future and Nas.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting to see what Nas is going to do in the years coming up, because it seems like he just always finds some type of way to rejuvenate himself in some weird type of way. Like,
he does.
I mean, first, you know, it could be considered gimmicky with the Hip Hop Is Dead and the Nigga album. And then, you know, he had this whole situation with Khalees, and then he went and dropped the album with Damian Marley that nobody ever really mentions, but I still think it's dope. And then he dropped, Life Is Good after that. And then he had the whole Illmatic 20-year anniversary where he pretty much just took over the whole year with 20-year-old songs. And documentary, and then, you know, he's invested in Bevel and all these other different types of companies, and, you know, now he's back hopping on these trap beats.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, speaking of Bevel real quick, you know, I heard about this trimmer they're coming out with, and so I went to the website and checked it out.
Oh, that thing looks dope.
It does look dope. I don't know, I'm thinking about possibly getting it, and of course Nas is all throughout with those weird promotional videos all throughout the website.
I didn't even see those, but, you know, Nas keeps a fresh shape up, so, you know.
Apparently I think they mentioned, like, Nas's Master Barber on there, how he always uses it as if, you know, it's been around for like 5 years.
You know what's crazy is Bevel is less than 2 years old.
I know, it doesn't feel that way though.
Yeah, it feels like it's just such a part, at least for me, it feels like it's been such a part of my life for so long. And it's funny we're talking about like this, and they're not even a sponsor, but I do need to go on their website and get their promo code so I can start blasting that out and getting some discounts. But definitely shout out to Bevel. And I got to get my hands on that trimmer. We got to reach out to Tristan and see what they can do for, you know, a little small podcast like ours, just trying to do big things in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they have all the big hip hop podcasts on lock. I think Joe Budden now has them now. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. But shout out to Bevel and Nas and all of them. Tristan, I'm shouting them out like I know them and stuff. But but yeah, another big thing in hip hop that just happened tonight. Meek Mill just dropped the second part of his 4/4 EP, and I really like the first one, so I'm excited to listen to this new one. You know, I think regardless of all of the shenanigans, Meek Mill does put out some good records, and I think, you know, he's improving as a song maker. I enjoyed his last album, and he had a pretty good 2-week run until he came up against Drake. But I think actually dropping quality music is a good step in the right direction to reviving his career.
I mean, I have yet to listen to the first EP, and I was talking to myself, I think, yesterday about how I need to listen to it. But I don't know, it's just so crazy how he kind of, in so many words, fell off after, you know, having that good output, 200,000 the first week and everything like that. But I don't understand Meek Mill sometimes, man. I don't really understand why he's beefing with everybody in the world, and especially that whole shit with 50 Cent.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, Meek, I guess he considers himself as the only voice of the streets right now on that level, and I guess he felt like by exposing Drake's ghostwriting that people would rally behind him and it would take Drake down. And I guess he considers people like Drake to be corny, and the real is gonna survive to the end. But we'll see. I don't really think Drake puts himself out there too much as something that he's not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then another thing with Drake is he's kind of doing what 50 Cent used to do. Like, 50 Cent had the G-Unit radio, had the mixtapes, had the artists, had the diss tracks. Like, now Drake is just dropping stuff on OVO Sound Radio. He got the clothes. Like, he's really kind of following a early 2000s G-Unit blueprint with what he's kind of doing.
I mean, yeah, but it's the same blueprint that's been around for I don't know how long. You go from Drake to G-Unit to Eminem when he tried to do it but didn't work out for him. All the way back to Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that arguably you could probably say that A$AP Rocky is pretty close to Meek Mill's level at this point.
A$AP Rocky, I mean, A$AP Rocky is just an interesting dude because he's kind of not on the scene like that, but he's like kind of put himself into that fashion world to where, I think he's cultivated a unique type of fan base that isn't necessarily hip hop. And then his last album had that kind of psychedelic type of sound to it, to where I feel like he's kind of branched off, and it's working for him. I think like I heard a couple new tracks from him that are pretty dope, and I don't know, Meek versus A$AP, who's bigger? I guess Meek is more in your face, but A$AP is kind of up there.
I mean, yeah, man, I was kind of surprised, to see A$AP really do that, but I mean. I guess the way Drake is kind of taken from 50 and like these weird blueprints, A$AP arguably took from the Kanyes of the world and how he I guess diversified his persona.
Yeah, and the thing about A$AP is he did it early. Like I think he just saw what the wave was and just hopped on it, no pun intended, and it worked for him.
Yeah, well, speaking of waves, what do you think about that wave song that Max B came out with?
I actually haven't had a chance to listen to it, I'm sorry to say.
I mean, it's, he hasn't lost his stuff, I must admit. I like the chorus more than anything, but it's a pretty good song, and, he's coming out with that documentary, on the same day as Kanye's album.
Is he recording over the jail phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think listening to that song is gonna make me sad. So I gotta get into the zone to listen to it, because there was a time when we just knew Max B was gonna beat the case, and we knew that he was just gonna ascend into hip hop royalty. Because, a lot of times rappers beat cases, or, he might just get off of probation or something like that. I mean, they gave this man, like, 1 million years. Yeah. It's like, to the point where, it's like the only person who can save the day is Obama.
I mean...
Or Chris Christie, but, what's the chances of that happening?
Max B has surprisingly stayed rather relevant. And a lot of it is just based around the fascination of whether he's going to get an appeal or not. Yeah.
And I think this whole thing with Kanye has been a smart marketing move to keep his name, hot out in the streets.
I mean, yeah, and you still have, French Montana, being a champion for him and everything like that. So
is he really?
Well, in the first, several years.
Hello? Oh man. Yeah, Singod's connection is pretty bad. Looks like we're gonna have to do something about this if he doesn't come back shortly. But we're gonna take a quick break. Keep it locked. Channel10podcast.com. Hit us up. Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and all that. And we'll be right back. Peace. Make sure you rate, subscribe, and comment on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. That way, our podcast gets higher in the rankings, and we can gain a bigger audience, bring you bigger guests, and keep giving you this great content that we do week after week. With that, let's get into the show.
Channel 10.
Call is now being recorded.
Okay, after the technical difficulties, we are back. Singodsuperior is back in the building. So we were just talking about Bigger Valley.
Yeah.
And what were we saying about French Montana's support of him throughout the years?
Oh yeah. I would say after the first couple of years, he was pretty good about it. But then, when he started latching on to other people, then it kind of wore off, and then, when, he started messing with that Kardashian, it was a wrap. But, I guess in his defense, at least based on, he was on the Rap Radar podcast, right? I think. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And even on his Breakfast Club interviews, he still bigs him up and everything like that, and at least based on what he's saying, he still supports him.
Yeah, and he did say, and he did have Max on his on the intro to his album, and then he did say that that type of stuff kind of depresses him because there was a whole controversy about him not bigging up Chinks enough, and he was like, it's a touchy subject for him, so that's his way of grieving, and don't necessarily fault him for that. So I do kind of see where he's coming from.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And I guess going back to Max B real quick, Coke Wave 2 came out after his incarceration, right?
I don't think so, and that come out shortly before.
God, it was so terribly mixed. That was one of the worst mixtapes, in regards to just how it was mixed or whatever, or I guess not mixed at all. And I thought Gucci Mane's mixtapes were worse, man. But nah, but but also going back to I guess these incarcerated freestyles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be a genre actually. A genre of hip hop, a subgenre of hip hop based around freestyles from jail, because I'm sure that there is a specific way you got to do it, and especially when it comes to private mixing it also, I would say. And I'm mixing wise, nothing compares to Prodigy's mixtape. I mean, song from while he was incarcerated.
Yeah, he had the ad-libs and everything over the phone.
Yeah, over the phone. It was a 6 to 7 minute song, but it was really clear. I mean, you could tell that he was, over the phone, but nowadays, since hip hop has become more psychedelic, you probably just would have thought, if they didn't tell you that it was just him on some shrooms or something, or Molly's, and he just wanted his voice to sound that way.
Yeah, that was one of the classic jail free. I gotta find that one again.
I mean, I think I have it on my hard drive somewhere, but it's so weird, how when a song first comes out and then it just deteriorates over time, because I think I've seen that like on 2 different Mobb Deep mixtapes that were, I think, like authorized mixtapes, and it sounds like shit compared to the original version of it.
Yeah, I mean, usually, a lot of times these mixtape DJs, they just kind of throw stuff in there, and like the mastering of it is horrible, and their ad libs, like if you actually look at the waveform, the ad libs are so much louder than the actual mixtape. So it's like, you'll be playing a song, and then you have to, it's so not compressed, you have to turn it up to hear the song, and then the ad lib just comes through all loud and crazy. I'm not the ad lib, but how they do their little shout outs over everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess going to Future's latest mixtape, well, mixtapes nowadays, they're really albums, and if anything, I feel like Future has kind of really pushed that whole concept that a mixtape is pretty much nothing more than an album. But like even on his Purple Rain mixtape, he has like really, I mean, sometimes I can't even like notice them. I forget that they're like even DJ drops.
I mean, they fit in so well that there was one Drake DJ drop that they were using.
Oh, yeah, for Metro.
Yeah, and people were upset because they thought Drake was about to drop a verse.
Actually, I thought so too, but isn't that like from like one of his vocals off of What a Time to Be Alive?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, but like, so you have that, and then you have Future saying if Metro don't trust you, I'ma shoot you.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I think like the way his mixtapes are formatted may become like the norm. Like instead of like the DJ saying things, the artist will actually just do do the tagging, and so it all fits.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's dope the way they put it together. But even on those Drake tags, you can kind of tell how it's like a little offbeat when you re-listen to it. So you can kind of tell that it is a drop. Because I do think it's important for a drop to sound like a drop sometimes. Because like sometimes on that mixtape, some of the drops don't sound like drops, so you have to listen to the song a couple of times to be, oh, that was the DJ putting that in there. And it's kind of cool that it blends with the song so well, but then at the same time, it's like, I need this to sound like a drop so I can delineate between the song and, the drop.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's also important for the DJ, so the people can know what DJ it is.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like for the casual music listener, are they really listening to like the DJ drops?
I think a lot of times they're getting annoyed by them if they don't musically fit with the song.
I mean, yeah, but like I just put it this way. I mean, I guess Atlanta is a bit different, but if you're someone in Tennessee. And you love rap music, you listen to nothing but the Gangsta Grill series, of course, that's a bit different, but do you know, like, DJ Scream, DJ, see, I can't even think of any other DJs.
Well, I'll take it to the kids. Like, the kids know DJ drops.
They do?
Like, yeah. Like DJ Scream. Like, they know the drops.
So they know DJ Scream, but, like, what about producer drops? Like Mike Will Made It or something like that?
They probably do too, because it's such, like it's so ingrained in the song, it's like a jingle. Like, you might not even know what it is, but if you hear it enough, you'll start singing it to yourself. Like,
I mean, actually,
Little Beats, holla at me.
I mean, actually, the whole Metro Don't Trust You, I'ma Shoot You, sometimes that rings in the back of my head.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't know what that says about my character, but but at the same time, I mean, it's really because did you ever look at the that whole Future documentary before Honest came out, or was it after?
You talking about the one Elliot did?
Yeah, I think that was for Honest, right?
Was it? It might have been, but no, I didn't see that yet.
Okay, well, Future was talking about how he approaches like his songs and like whatever melodies, and he wants everything to sound like a nursery rhyme. And so the whole Metro Don't Trust You, I'ma Shoot You, he's kind of like saying it, but like I guess like the way he says it kind of makes it catchy. And then how they place it over like the intro of a beat.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart. I mean, drops have come a long way from Just Blaze.
Yeah, and apparently that was birthed from what Joe Budden, the way he would say Just Blaze, and Just Blaze was trying to emulate the way Joe Budden said Just Blaze.
Yeah. But, I mean, Cameron was the first one to be like, Just Blaze, in the beginning of the track on Oh Boy.
Alright, so is the Just Blaze tag, is that from Cameron, or was that Just Blaze?
I think that's Just Blaze, but I think it was Cameron that gave him the idea to do it.
Oh. I've been thinking lately too, about, when you're like a really big hip hop artist like a Drake or a Jay-Z or whatever, or Future at this point, and like the amount of infrastructure that's involved in like keeping everything secret and just keeping everything like intact, like all of your files, the beats, vocals for different things and everything like that. And I always wonder like how does that exactly work? Like with like Jay-Z, he has Guru. And I guess to a certain point, Just Blaze, because apparently Just Blaze has like a lot of Jay-Z shit that no one's ever heard.
Yeah.
And then you have Drake and 40, and I guess Future and Esco. But I can only imagine like how difficult it probably is to like keep these kinds of things like intact when you have a whole bunch of people around, and you got to make sure that they play their positions and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on who you're working with. Like, it's probably a difference with Future when he's working like straight with what's his name, Metro Boomin. It's probably like a different process that they have versus when he's working with Mike Will Made It versus when DJ Esco is handling everything. Or like Jay-Z might have his thing with Guru. Then if Diddy's executive producing it, it's probably a different type of structure versus, a different type of structure than when he's dealing with Kanye. So.
See, that's the thing, like, and I've been trying to figure out, like, who controls Kanye's stuff?
Probably Mike Dean. Mike Dean is crazy, man. Like, you heard that song that he did on Freddie Gibbs' album?
No, but I think I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, because Freddie Gibbs was talking about that on the podcast. Like, it's crazy how some people, like a Mike Dean, or even like a Just Blaze, that work with the top artists, and then just randomly some kind of undergroundish type dude. Like, Mike Dean and Freddie Gibbs, that don't even sound right. Like, when I think of Mike Dean, I think of all those elaborate Kanye productions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just imagine, holding these kinds of things is really difficult.
Yeah.
And stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who holds Diddy's stuff?
I mean, it's probably all managed by the studio.
But then, studios closed down. I mean, look at, D&D, how that closed down.
Yeah, I mean, but now he's moved over to headquarters, so I guess it's just moving all your files and all your hard drives and all your archives.
Yeah, that's true. But then, all right. But then I guess if you depending, I guess it also depends on like the deal that you have for your label too. If the label owns the masters, then I guess the label has to have it anyway. And like for example, like like all those unreleased Mobb Deep joints off the Infamous that was on the second CD for their latest album.
Yeah.
And how who was it? I think was it Stretch or Bob? I think Stretch. He found like the masters to the Infamous on the floor some record label.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff is probably just haphazardly wherever too. Because you gotta think, you got a bunch of people who are drunk and high just recording some stuff. And, you might run out of space or tape or whatever. I mean, just think about how we manage our files sometimes.
Man, don't remind me, man. I have about eight years of work that I don't have, and that just down the drain.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of that, I have files that I've been trying to talk myself into like archiving. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, I need to do that, back up all my stuff on a couple different clouds and get my hard drives in order. It's just a process.
Hold on, so I thought you were against like backing your files up on clouds.
I mean, as a sole backup, yeah, but I do think it's important to back it up on all different types of stuff. Because the main way that you back something up would be to burn it to a CD or a DVD and put it in an airtight safe. and you have to put it in two different safes in two different parts of the world, so that if a natural disaster hits one, then you still have the other one. That's the only way something is like truly backed up.
And who does that though? That's the question.
I mean, I don't know. I imagine a lot of like businesses do it for their very important records, but I'm sure just burning it and keeping it in some type of archive, or backing it up to cloud, and also some hard drives. I guess maybe a solid state drive would be good now, since there's no moving parts. I'm not exactly sure how that could be erased. I guess it would take an EMP or something.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Well, I guess, I assume that rappers don't really exactly think about this anyway. Like, I know, like, when Jay-Z did that whole Q&A on Twitter, like, someone asked him about Dead Presidents, like, Dead Presidents 3 or whatever it was, and he said that he thinks Guru or Just Blaze has it, and he said, if they want to drop it, they can. But he didn't seem like he cared that much.
When you're making that much money, like, who really cares? Like, certain artists, they gotta hold on to, their hidden gems to the right time, and to they're in the right position to drop it to, make something of themselves. But, other people don't. So.
I feel like Nas kind of does that.
Yeah, he does in a way. Like, everybody's waiting for this Lost Tapes, too.
That, and remember, it was kind of a big thing when that Deja Vu joint came out after the ADAT.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. I still listen to that sometimes.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is now like that Lil Wayne thing that came out, the remastered version of some song that was on like the first dedication, I think.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah, and so apparently whoever did it, he decided to remix it, and he just dropped it. And I think the guy, whoever it was at Two Dope Boys, he was talking about how happy he was like to get it, and it's been like 10 years in the making. And so it's crazy that I don't know. I think that kind of exemplifies Lil Wayne's space in hip hop music at this point, when you have something off of a mixtape that was remastered and people want. So
yeah, his whole catalog, consists of mostly mixtapes. So, and like, some of those iconic records that people think of when they think of Lil Wayne are actually freestyles. So, like, over other people's beats. I think he's one of the few people, or he's probably like one of the last people who was able to pull that off. Because, like, when you think about people back in the day, you think about, like, Lloyd Banks over the Victory beat. Or, like, I'm trying to think of, or, like, what's his name? Beanie, who was it? Beanie Siegel over the Jadakiss beat. And, like, things like that. But now, if somebody raps on someone else's beat, it's just completely forgotten about.
But is that a good thing or a bad thing, though?
I think it just got oversaturated with everybody rapping on whatever beat is hot. Just like being more known for your freestyles over other people's beats rather than your own songs. I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I think it's kind of cool when and it's an accomplishment. Like, when I think of swag surfing, you know, I think of Lil Wayne's freestyle on it, and that's the one. If they ever play that song on the radio, they play Lil Wayne's swag surfing. You know, or like G-Unit when they redid the Chingy joint. And they played that on the radio. G-Unit in this bitch, right there. Like,
you know, speaking of Chingy, did I tell you that I saw the commercial for him being at that strip club on Baltimore Street on TV?
No, you did not tell me that.
Yeah, man, like 2 in the morning it came on. Like, you can come and see Chingy perform his hits.
I mean, more power to him. At least he has some hits to perform. You know, he's still getting it.
I mean, he sold a lot of. I mean, his first album I think went triple platinum.
That was the good old days.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. You know, see, that's like sometimes I think like if you think of some of these people who actually sold records, I can only help but imagine that it was just like people just buying shit for the sake of buying it.
Yeah.
I mean, this was in the days when Q-Tip's his second album, Amplified, it debuted. It was like number 9 on the charts, but he sold like 90,000 the first week. Crazy.
I mean, back in the day, you had to buy an album to hear it.
I mean, yeah, but still, I mean.
But like, I think
were there that many people that really wanted to listen to Chingy shit?
Yeah. I mean, all those huge singles that he had.
Right There, Holiday Inn. That was the second album, though. Oh yeah, the joint with Tyrese.
The only songs I can think of right now are "Shake It What You Got for a Pork Chop."
That's Right There.
Oh. Okay, yeah, One Call Away. Yeah, right there, Holiday Inn. This is all off Jackpot. Pushing Me Back, Them Jeans.
I forgot about them jeans.
Yeah, something off Too Fast, Too Furious. That was in 2003.
Man, Fast and Furious is a pretty old franchise at this point.
I've never seen one.
I thought you saw the first one.
Nope.
Yeah, well, I've seen the first, the second, and I saw Fast and Furious 6 when I was I think I was on a date or something, and I fell asleep. Yeah, I fell asleep. I slept through the whole movie. Wasn't a good look, but still.
Well, speaking of people going platinum, you see Rihanna went platinum in less than 2 days.
Well, yeah, that was bound to happen though, and I'm pretty sure that whole leak situation, it wasn't by accident.
Yeah, have you listened to the album, any?
No, I mean, actually, I was saying, oh, well, I have access to Tidal thanks to you, so I figured I should probably just go ahead and listen to it, but I haven't yet. I'm just not interested. I looked at like the track list, and I'm like,
And that intro is dope. Like with SZA, and like it's the way the beat is. It's like so hip hop.
Oh yeah, I was shocked that SZA was even on it.
Yeah, I mean, SZA does a lot of writing, I believe. And then the song with Drake is pretty cool. And then the song right after it, you can listen to it and just hear that Drake wrote it.
You know, the thing is, too, though, that I saw something that apparently Views from the Six is supposed to come out, in April?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I think that's a lie. Because he automatically just comes up, pops up on a song with Rihanna, then her album drops. There's no way he's not going to use this. And then he has this whole thing with the radio show, and he drops some more songs.
I mean, I think it is, because originally it was supposed to come out in February, but I think he's giving Kanye his lane. Like, I think Kanye might have made him push it back, because at first the speculation was that Drake and Kanye were going to drop real close to each other, but now Drake pushed his date back, so.
Well, he doesn't want to do that now because J. Cole smoked his ass, 2 years ago now, or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, look at the type of album it was. You know, now Kanye got Real Friends playing on the radio.
Oh, it's playing on the radio?
Yeah, I heard it on 92Q earlier.
What? Oh, I'm shocked. Well, speaking of Kanye, as I was working on our piece about him. I figured that I said the proper way to edit this is to listen to Yeezus. So once again, thanks to you, I had to have access to title. So I went ahead and listened to it, and I have a different view of it now. I think. I think for the most part, I like it. I think overall I would give it 4 mics, but I think Rick Rubin could have cut out like a lot of the shit when he's just like singing at the end on a lot of those songs, especially Skinheads. Yeah, like there's no way. But I think I get the point. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel because then he ends with Bound 2. But I don't know, man. It's just the only annoyance about that album is that it's supposed to be so refreshing and new. But he's not doing anything that a whole bunch of these underground niggas have been doing for I don't know how many years that I've been listening to.
I mean, it sounds way crispier.
Well, that it does, yeah. I've never listened to an industrial type of album like that, and it's been so crispy. The distortion doesn't really, burn like the hairs from your eardrum, the hairs from your eardrums or whatever like that. If you have it up loud enough.
Yeah, and then he, I think the thing with Kanye is he incorporates all different types of genres. So, it's not necessarily straight industrial or like EDM-ish, but it's like got some reggae, hip-hop, of course, traditional hip-hop, sample-driven type stuff, drill, got little Chicago savages on there, saying they little Chicago savageries, and then, topically he's saying some wild stuff, and then he's saying some, black power politically charged stuff, and he's saying some religious type stuff. So I think, all of that together is what makes it special. And then just the presentation of it with, how he was projecting the video on the screens and, just everything with it, I think is what makes it that special.
I mean, well, yeah, but going back to my definition, I guess, which is a rather rigid definition of an album, it is still kind of like all over the place. Because he's talking about black issues, and then he talks about rich nigga shit. But I guess that's his point. It's like this rich racism.
I mean, I think that, and this is the thing that confuses me about people like Kanye. Like, he's supposedly been working on this album for so long, but then at the very last minute, before it's about to come out, you see him in the studio with all these people, and then all the songs that came out before aren't on the track list. So really it's like he's making his album in like 2 weeks, and like he's always up against the deadline, about to, miss the deadline because it's not done. And then sometimes even after the album is done, he goes back and changes something. Like even with Yeezus, I think the iTunes version he ended up remastering again, so it's different than the actual CD version. So it's like, what you been doing all this time? And I think, and this is something I was been thinking about for some time. I think what makes an album sometimes is like the time frame and when it was made. So like when you look at some of these jazz people, like a Bitches Brew or something like that whole album was probably recorded just in one sitting, just banging it out like that, or like in a short span of time. So even if the subject matter might be a little bit different, it's all cohesive in a sense because it's all done like during this, like I'm sitting down and I'm creating this piece of artwork right here. Now I'm banging it out and then I'm just putting it out.
I mean, yeah, but jazz is a different kind of genre. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different. Like, like the way it's made and stuff like that. You may happen to have someone over, you guys jam out something, and then it just ends up being an album.
I mean, hip hop is like that too. Like, look at Drake and Future. Like, that's kind of how they made their thing, or like Styles P and Currency. Or like, I don't know.
Well, I mean Well, that's true, but I don't think any of these albums will be ever considered in the upper echelon of popular music ever.
Yeah, I mean, but they're interesting, projects to listen to. I mean, like, even like, I'm trying to think of an album. I mean, because like Kanye's albums, they all seem like just massive jam sessions.
I mean, and that's probably why I don't like any of his albums. Come to think, because now you can't say that about hip hop, period. But like even like you get like an interview and people like let's say with an older
hello.
Niggas was just in the studio, you know what I'm saying, had the blunts, the 40s, the women, and we just made it. But then if you ever go deeper into it, there's something about, what's his name, like, Bob Powers coming out. He had to come in and like master something for like, a specific reason, or someone had to go back in and redo their verse because something happened, or someone decided not to put a song out for whatever reason, and they had to go back and do another song. And so I think even in the earlier days of hip hop, a lot of times, a lot of the albums that we do know of, the albums were actually made, they were made, with, certain thoughts. They weren't just, they all just weren't jam sessions.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe like the core of it might have started as that, and then you go back and retool and add into it and stuff.
I guess we know with Diddy, there was no such thing as no weird jam session with Diddy. We know like Biggie, he was a one song person. He would do one song and leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but then but who knows? Maybe another reason why it took so long for albums to be made during that time, at least in hip hop, is because people were always incarcerated. So they had to wait for people to come back home, like let's say for with 36 Chambers and You God.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I still think 808s is probably his best album overall.
Yeah, at this point, I would have to say Yeezus or Late Registration. I used to say College Dropout, but I think maybe I like Late Registration a little bit more now. But his new album is going to be really interesting. Now he's saying it's a gospel album, and he got Kirk Franklin and 2 Chainz in there. And I don't know. Like one thing that pisses me off about Kanye is looking at the track list. A lot of the songs, like if I'm not mistaken, almost half of them have already been put out or heard in some type of way.
Yeah, but then the thing is, like, I'm sure like Facts is on there because like Facts didn't come up on the track list, but he probably just named it something else.
Nah, that was like a mixtape. You talking about the one that he did
New Year's?
Yeah, I doubt that's going to be on there.
Well, he needs to remind the masses who didn't get a chance to hear it that he jumped over Jumpman.
Yeah, maybe maybe it'd be like a bonus track. But I'm trying to get a picture of the track list here. Easy, just jumped over Jumpman. In fact, they played it on the radio earlier, right after Jumpman.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, some days after it came out, 982Q was playing it.
Hold on, so this man has Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 for a 10-track album. And then he just has all these crazy notes on here. Famous, Faith, Strength, In My Hands, Part 1 and 2, Waves, High Weights, 30 Homes, No More Parties in LA, Fade, FML, Real Was, I don't know, Ultra Light Beam, World Famous. I don't know.
He's a character.
Yeah.
But, I don't like some like after listening to like Jesus for like the first time in like a long time, it seems like in so many words he kind of has some type of weird money issues for I guess for a rich man.
I mean, like you said on the new joint, everybody got bills that ain't children.
I mean, yeah, and then like and then like alright, yeah, so like I think like the thing that jumped out at me on Yeezus after listening to it again earlier was Blood on the Leaves in the very beginning, and he keeps saying I told you to wait, but he's really talking about money in all the different instances.
Mm-hmm.
And he sings I don't have the money on me right now. And then he goes to this whole story about how he's doing all this other type of shit. And he's doing all this shit, but he doesn't really have the money for it.
I mean, they do say his tours lose money.
No, he does. I mean, that's a lot of tours, though. Like I think like U2, remember like that big U2 tour? Like from some years ago?
Yeah.
And I think they just broke even. I think they only made like a $2 profit. It was something like really crazy that made headlines about that tour. But I mean, I don't know. I guess his tours are that elaborate. I've never been to one, but god damn, you gotta be doing a lot of shit to not make any money on tours.
I mean, look at his tours though; they made history. So it's like you try to make money, you try to make history.
All right, so he's trying to make history. So all right, and I really don't think he makes a lot of money off of like his shoes and whatever like that. There's no way he makes a lot because he doesn't even they don't really mass produced, are they?
I think they're getting to that point now that he has the Adidas deal.
Okay,
but apparently his clothing line is doing really bad.
Okay, I didn't even know he had a clothing line.
Yeah,
I just thought he had the shoes.
Yeah, I didn't know he had a clothing line either until I saw something that said that his clothing line is doing really bad. I think it's called Yeezy Season.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because I think Yeezy Season 3 is supposed to be coming out. He's supposed to be premiering that alongside his album. So so he has all these things that most likely don't make him money. He doesn't make money off his tours. The only thing he really makes money off of is probably his music. But how frequently are his songs played on radio? He doesn't really have those types of radio hits that are always played, maybe outside of Gold Digger.
I mean, maybe I'm so self-conscious. Jesus Walks.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like those things.
Stronger. I mean, they play them records a lot. Put On For My City. That was a Jeezy record, wasn't it? Niggas in Paris.
I mean, well, yeah, but then that becomes more complicated because, of course, Jay-Z wants his cut. So how much is really getting off of that?
Probably a good amount, but I mean, Kanye, I'm sure his catalog generates millions of dollars a year.
I don't know because then you got to think about the samples, but
I mean, but the catalog is so big, it's gonna. I mean, even if it's samples, he's still gonna make money off of it. I mean, if Dream can make as much money as he does off of Umbrella, and then Kanye producing the Blueprint alone is probably enough for somebody to live like a regular American life. And I think 2015 was the first year in history that old music outsold new music. So catalog is very important.
Okay, so all right, so pretty much all he has is his catalog. I mean, it may not exactly live up with his extravagant lifestyle.
I mean, it probably does. I mean, you gotta think of how many huge radio hits that he has off College Dropout that still get played today. Probably thousands of times on thousands of radio stations across the world every day.
Yeah, okay, but then look at like his albums. All right, so My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was, I mean, thinking about it, it was nothing more than, Yeezus was nothing more than an extension of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy in so many ways. He kind of talks about the same shit, about being this rich man who doesn't exactly have that much money, it seems.
I don't know what he was talking about on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
I mean, but he still talked about, you know, like these rich problems, like I think the intro, the one that RZA made.
Yeah.
You know what's ironic is that you would think that Kanye would have Raekwon on the one that RZA made, but he put him on a whole nother song.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted that RZA beat to himself.
But that was a post RZA beat, man. It wasn't like a classic RZA beat. That was some shit that was supposed to probably be on Afro Samurai.
I mean, it sounded like a RZA beat.
I mean, it did, but to this day, when he said that Heartless was supposed, like he made Heartless after he tried to pattern Heartless after a RZA kind of beat.
Yeah,
I still don't see it.
I do, because it sounds like Liquid Swords.
I had to go back and listen to it. I've paired it with, because I don't know, man. Like the Liquid Swords, though, it doesn't even. I mean, like sonically, like the quality of it.
No, the way it's made, the way that song is made, it sounds like number one, the first track of Liquid Swords. You gotta listen to them. That dun 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 dun, like just the way that the melody is, like. It sounds just like Liquid Swords. Because when he said it, I was taken aback too. But then I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, it sounds like Liquid Swords.
Oh, because if anything, when it comes to that song, I always thought that maybe he was talking about, Bobby Digital style type of beats. The whole digital symphony or something like that.
I don't think anybody talks about that. I think people try to pretend it doesn't exist. But I mean, like, RZA had that beat on Watch Your Throne, which I think is like one of Kanye's best verses ever, if not his best verse ever. And
I really didn't like that beat too much. I mean, it was cool, but
it was different. But I think it holds up though to me. Like, I still like it. I like it more and more the more I hear it. But to me, that's a classic album. Like, that album is just so well put together for the most part, and all this, like, there's some truly great songs on there. And like, Jay-Z is spitting some of the best stuff that he's spit in a long time. I mean, he took the He took the Star Spangled Banner and remixed it on some hood type stuff. Like, I really think they don't get enough props for the album.
I mean, no one bought it. For real, people just listening to Niggas in Paris. And thinking about it, that was really over certain people's heads, I would say.
Let's see, Watch the Throne, sales. We're gonna consult a good old wiki and see what they have to say. Watch the Throne. And Otis, oh my goodness, man, when that record first dropped and they had to run it back so many times on the radio just because it was just so crazy.
Well, that was in New York, though.
Yeah, I mean, they played it a lot here, too, though.
I mean, but, I don't know, like, New York isn't what it once was. Atlanta is its own sphere, man. Like, if you put Otis up, if Otis came out around the same time Future came out with a song, what do you think is going to, like, overcome?
I mean, it depends, because, I mean, Otis had that energy. I mean, I think Otis will cut through, because one, you have two megastars, and then you have a sound that's so different from the norm of what's going on, and they just going back to back, like no hook.
Man, I think also...
Because Future just dropped so many songs, and it's like, how often do you really get a Jay-Z or or a Kanye song, let alone both of them together, just on a sample, just rapping, just ripping it.
That's true, but I guess you know, I was still in college around the time, you know, Watch the Throne came out.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, try to put Watch the Throne on the entire album, and in the midst of a lot of stuff going on, it doesn't work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that kind of album though. Like,
I mean, but what I'm saying is like also Oldest isn't either. Like, you put that shit on, like they're like, yo, like what is this? They'll really say, what is this? Oh, this is the Jay-Z and Kanye album. Oh, they came out with an album? Yeah, they came out with an album. Oh, well, put Niggas in Paris on real quick, and then once you turn it off. And then they don't give a shit about Oldest. They're like, no, this is annoying. Like, you got that guy singing in the background. No, it's a sample. It's Oldest Redding. Who is that? It's the guy who did Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Oh, I like him. So you have to explain the whole structure of the song before people can appreciate it. Well, at least in my experience.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and it's funny because these are the same types of people a lot of times who say that they're music fans, they love music, or, you know, they're into different type of stuff.
It's not the kid. They don't want to hear that shit, man. And then, like, even like in the intro, it's like, oh, that's Frank Ocean. Like, yeah, this is on the same album I just told you about. Oh, well, you should probably put on his album.
No, man. They had some dope records on that. Though, like, you know, I think that was a great collaborative effort.
I mean, like lyrically, it was. I mean, there were certain songs. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on, Watch the Throne sold 436,000 copies this first week.
Damn, I didn't know it did that much.
Yeah.
But then how many overall at this point?
That's what I'm trying to see. I don't see it now.
Because I was looking at Yeezus earlier, and you know, it's going platinum based on, you know, album shipped or whatever like that. But technically, it sold 630,000 copies. That is super. That is like selling 100,000 copies for, you know, on someone like, you know, for someone like a Kanye West.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I think it's interesting, like, you know, for someone like Kanye West at this point, is he an album-oriented artist? I mean, I guess he is because he puts so much into them, but his singles are just so big, and he just has so much other, you know, buffoonery going on around him. Like, I'm thinking about somebody like Adele, who just sells just millions of records for no reason, or like Alicia Keys at her prime. Like, they were like album-oriented artists to where you get somebody like, let's say like a Jay Electronica, how Erykah Badu was like, you know, he's not really an album type of guy or whatever. He doesn't need to drop an album. So it's like, you know, a Kanye West album sales not doing, you know, millions of records his first week, you know, it just might be the type of artist that he is.
I mean, well, I mean, I guess you have. I mean, he's like, I guess, more of an entertainer at this point anyway, and he's entertained just by living. It seems at this point, but I mean, I don't know. I still think 630,000 copies. I mean, like, it should have like, at least went platinum, but
I mean, that's a lot for 1 week.
That wasn't 1 week. He did 327.
For you talking about Yeezus?
Yeah.
I mean, but listen to how that album sounded. Like, wasn't nobody really checking for that?
I mean, yeah, I know. I've had one person say, "Oh, he came out with an album." I said, "Yeah, I heard it for her," and she was shocked. She didn't know who that. She's like, "Are you sure this is Kanye?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's him."
'cause like you know, his single was "New Slaves" and "Black Skinheads." Like, I never heard those songs anywhere but like the Night Show.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't know, like. If like as soon as you put the album on, like on site comes on, and people are just so turned off by it. And the thing is, you know, I understand why they are turned off by it. It's a really abrasive song, and
it's just vulgar.
It's vulgar, and it doesn't really make any. Although it's a song for the sake of vulgarity, pretty much, and just like for an intro and being a hip hop artist, but at the same time, it still doesn't make any sense. I feel sometimes, but I think it's one of my favorite songs off the album.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really consider Yeezus like a Kanye West album. Like, it's almost like an album to the side. Like, he should probably like that's one of those type of albums where somebody makes up a different name and comes out with that. Like,
so kind of like Garth Brooks.
You know what? That's something that I've been meaning to look into, because I heard something about Garth Brooks coming out as this other guy, and like, what's the whole thing with Garth Brooks? Do you know? Yeah, so I don't know too much about him, but to make a long story short, Garth Brooks, really big country singer. He got his break. I think his first album sold like 10 million copies, if not 20 million at this point, like literally. And I think his third or fourth album, he decided to change his persona. So I forgot the name, but like he cut his hair, and it was like a more darker person or whatever like that. And people were just like kind of like upset about it. Some people didn't know like it was actually him. And till this day, it's like something that people in pop culture just kind of like poke fun at. But even still, I still think that album even sold more than Yeezus. But then even after that, he still drops, like, whenever he drops something, it just sells records. Like, I think he's had, like certain, like, albums, no single, no nothing. It still, like, eventually goes platinum over time. Like when people are actually just buying the damn album. Yeah. But I guess he's, like, one of those people, like, he's, like an enigma. Like, you know, you just have, like, those certain people, like, whatever they do, they just keep selling records for no reason. Yeah, but country music is a whole nother beast, you know? That's true. I mean, you're dealing with people who, you know, they still buying CD. I mean, country music is so big. Like, you got these people selling out stadiums, having their own TV channel and award shows, like, segregated from the general music community. Almost like gospel music is, but it's just so huge. Well, you know what? Being in Oklahoma, I understand why it is that way. Because, you know, like, dealing with people, I don't know, that's the thing, and I guess in a way I'm kind of stereotyping Oklahoma, but I don't mean that, but, like, you know, I guess dealing with, like, the stereotypical person that you, like, deem as white trash, or just, like, being in certain classrooms, and they kind of talk about how people, you know, like, they talk down to them, or they just think the worst about them, and stuff like that, about how they listen to country music, and all these other types of things. So, at least the way I take it, in a lot of instances, like, people, like, who are, like, of that culture, like, you know, I guess having, like, a pickup truck and whatever else, they feel like it's them against the world. And it's because of, like, you know, like, that whole white trash, redneck stereotype that people just throw on them. So I think I understand the whole concept of country music and everything like that. I mean, I guess it's that same feeling of, you know, what I imagine it's like being in a flyover state, like just being ignored. I was about to say something about that too, but I said no, never mind. So I don't know if I should say this. All right, so. All right, I think I figured out a way to put it until after we get off air. I just found out what a flyover state was 2 days ago. So, you know, I know someone who was really, really entrenched in the whole culture of the American West. His father was a farmer. I think he was raised on a farm and everything like that, so he's really dedicated to it.
So there's this, I think the guy Jason Aldean, he made a song called Flyover State or something like that, or he had a song about flyover states.
I know who he is.
Okay. And so apparently this person, he played the song for, you know, certain people at a certain program that he was doing, and he started crying after the song went off or something like that. And he was talking about how proud he is to live in a flyover state, and how people just don't understand, you know, certain cultures and other things like that, and how people just look down at, you know, these states, but there's like a lot of rich culture in them. And he started like crying, just breaking down crying as he was like telling these people this, like in this professional setting.
I mean, it's real.
Yeah, but then when I heard about that, I said in my head, I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, because I just can't relate to it. You know, I can't relate to the prairie, being on the open range and shit, and you know, tornadoes. Man, I need concrete. I need gun smoke. I need you know, rats. I need sewers and shit.
Junkies.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like, I feel a certain kinship with them, because, you know, they're the forgotten about of America in a sense. People look down on them. They're thought of hicks and rednecks and hillbillies and I mean, when you think of all the stereotypes of people in certain states, like even like a place like Ohio or something like that. I mean, just it's really bad, and it's almost like how people think about black people.
I mean, it really is. But then I guess it doesn't really help that the same people who look down on them, they look down on us a lot of times. So after a while, I'm like, well, whatever. But
and then like with the whole thing with the Bundy Ranch thing that's going on and all that, like, you know, some of these people really are getting, you know, dicked over by the federal government, and like, because of the stereotypes of them, you know, some of their legitimate concerns aren't being heard, and they're made to look, you know, they're made to be seen as like ridiculous buffoons. But like, when you look at even people like the Duck Dynasty people, like, you know, some of those people are really smart. You're not going to make it and not be really smart and be able to hold all that together.
It's the same thing with drug dealers, man. Like all these, there's no way you can make an illegal empire making $1 million a week without not being smart. Yeah, there's no way.
And like, you know, those types of people out there, you know, when the EMP does hit and knocks all this stuff out, like how we were talking about earlier, you know, they're more suited to that type of lifestyle. So I've always been like, I either need to go out there and, you know, start a farm or something like that and learn how to work the land, or I need to just make some friends with some of the people. So I know I'm good when either the sun has a corneal ejection, or, you know, however you say it, or when they drop some type of nuclear thing, or the aliens come and knock out all the power.
I don't know. I don't know. You know, like how people say that, you know, like living in an urban area, or just like in this new setting, that is really complicated.
Hold on. You're breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You said people say that living in an urban setting is really complicated.
Yeah, you know, like it's kind of like that stereotype that, you know, we live these complicated lives now, so we need to go back and live simple lives. To me, it's only more complicated in certain aspects. Well, my point is that, you know, if you look into, like, you know, environmental history and all these other types of weird things, farm life is just as complicated as any kind of other life. I don't think there's any difference in certain respects.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, let's say if you don't get like the amount of rainfall, it fucks your shit up. The same as if, you know, if you're without power, it fucks you up too. Or that's probably not like the best similarity, but there are certain like similarities you can draw. Like if you really live like a simple life like that.
But I do think I do think there are certain things that are more complicated in city life, like certain social types of things that you have to know, like, I guess, and this is my ignorance, that stereotypical or like type of rant, or my type of thinking on it. But when you're living on a farm, it's real simple. Somebody comes on your property and you shoot them. Versus when you're in the city, walking in the street, you have to size up people's mannerisms and their movements and their facial expressions, listen to the tone that they're speaking in and how they're saying it. Look out for somebody trying to pick your pocket, people trying to get over on you and swindle you. You got to make sure your ID hasn't expired. You got to make sure your credit card hasn't expired. You got to make sure your direct deposit is right. It's like all these different little things that you're just constantly trying to control, or certain things that you might not really have any control over, that really are just abstract concepts. Whereas I guess more so when you're, working the land, it's very concrete, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, all right, well,
and I guess it makes more sense logically.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of way that we live.
Well, I learned some things about this kind of lifestyle, and to me, when I was asking, my friend questions about it, he was trying to explain it to me, but I just still didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we drove up, specifically we drove up on someone's farmland, and someone came after us, and they were probably going to shoot us. But we knew that was farmland, so we continued driving on a dirt road. We go deeper on this dirt road, and the drive. My friend, he didn't know where he was really going. He's never been to the place before. His first time really going and driving along the roads. So we were driving, and then after a while, he realizes that we're on someone's personal property. So he had to hurry up and try to get the fuck out before someone came and shot us. And so I'm like, all right, but I said, how do you know? How do you know this is someone's land? He says, he was like, technically there really isn't like a boundary that we can tell, but you just kind of know it when you just know it. You just know this is someone's land. So technically, he didn't truly know if it was someone's land or not, but he just knew it was.
Yeah, I guess usually, people who are in those areas are so entrenched in those areas for hundreds of years.
Yeah, they just know, yeah.
Yeah, and you as an outsider, you ain't supposed to be around there. It's like, coming to the wrong hood. Like, what you doing around here?
Yeah, that's true. And then we go into this other part, and it was land, but it was like I guess like a ranch, but it was like how can I put it? It was like a ranch that had like infrastructure, like something that you had to like enter into. You couldn't just like drive on it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. So we're driving into it, and once again, it took him a while to realize that it was someone's personal property. So he had to back up, and he's like, "Oh man, yeah, we gotta get the hell out of here before someone else comes after us or something like that." And so he starts backing up, but then he says, "Well, you know what? Well, we only got to like 15 feet or whatever he said, so we're good." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "All right, well, technically, when you're like in the spot like this, you are allowed 15 feet into the property before someone can shoot you or something like that. So if you go over 15 feet, then the person can shoot you." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "This really doesn't make any sense." I said, "First of all, the last piece of land we were on, you really couldn't tell if it was land. Now you're telling me that if you're 15 feet and if you go over 15 feet, they can shoot you." I'm like, "Well, how do they know if it's 15 feet or not? Like, what are the boundaries?" And this is something that I've always had an interest in, like, if you're driving to Baltimore and you see the "Welcome to Baltimore" sign.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about this before on the podcast. Are you officially in Baltimore after you go past the sign, or is it somewhere before you even get to the sign? Like, when are you in Baltimore when you see that sign?
That's a good question, and I think it just really depends on what it actually is on the map, and the sign doesn't really have that much bearing over the specific point.
Well, yeah, like, I asked my government, we call it my civics teacher in high school this a long time ago, and he told me that the signs, like you said, the signs don't mean anything. He says that, you know, like, they are surveyors, so like it's like officially surveyed. You know, like there's like a specific line that I guess the government would know that will let them know when you get over into another city. And I'm like, well, why won't they just line the sign up along the line that is surveyed, or like to say something like a special like survey line that says, you know, this line going past this thing right here means that you are officially in Baltimore. I think it should be that way if they want to make everything so rigid.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, when you deal with personal property, there's different ways that they do it. Because, you know, I've known people that have had disputes over like a parking space or whatever. Like, you know, maybe you might share a driveway, and so they have to measure out a certain amount of space from their house to figure out exactly where the line is, and stuff like that is just real interesting. But I don't know.
It's only complicated though, man. I feel.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is all about land. I mean, this existence that we're in is all about land owning. You know, this country was based on the pursuit of what was it? Peace, happiness, and the pursuit of land. What was it?
The pursuit of happiness. I forget the other parts.
Yeah, but actually, it wasn't the pursuit of happiness. It was the pursuit of land. But then they changed it to happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of land. That's what it was, I believe.
And then they changed it to happiness.
Yeah, let me just verify that.
Well, I imagine Franklin probably did that because I think Franklin he went over the edits of the original draft. I think
it was Jefferson changed it. It was property. It was life, liberty, and the pursuit of property.
Okay.
And that was written by John Locke, and then Jefferson changed it.
Well, I mean, you mean the concept came from John Locke, but then Jefferson edited his own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, Jefferson, and, you know, you have the whole concept of the Jeffersonian democracy, and I'm getting into that now with, you know, all these weird, you know, this weird land ownership and how it's evolved over time with squatters' rights and whatnot. But, I don't know, the whole thing about you have 15 feet before you can get shot, I'm like, but you're still on someone's property though, so can't they just shoot you? Technically, you say, well, no, because, you know, it's not 15 feet yet. And I'm like, well, we just went on someone's property, and you said as soon as you go on that type of property, you can shoot somebody. So, I don't know. I feel like if you're trying to deal with what kind of property you can go on, I think that's the same as, you know, trying to figure out how to size people up and what they're going to do to you. I think it's the same. I think the same rules kind of apply.
Yeah.
Because maybe, huh?
I think that's the episode title right there. Over 15 feet and you can get shot.
Yeah, maybe. And I guess in closing, you know, maybe if the people driving toward us, maybe they weren't going to shoot us. Maybe they were going to ask, like, what are you doing over here before they shot us?
Maybe they want to offer you some apple pie or see if you needed some assistance.
Maybe, but they had a lot of cows, so they probably thought we were going to take some of the cows. It was a large pickup truck.
Oh man, growing up in Baltimore, did you ever think that this type of thing would be a concern for you?
I mean, hell no, man. Like, wherever I've gone, I've just been around a whole bunch of farmland. You know, it was a culture shock when I went to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Although I've been there before, but just being out on the prairie, on a farm pretty much, where, you know, the school makes their own eggs and shit.
Do you ever see yourself as owning some land and growing your own food and all that on some immortal technique type stuff?
I mean, yes and no. Maybe it would be like a piece of fun, like a piece of like land that I wouldn't like exactly live on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I want to grow my own tobacco. I want to do that. I know, like in Dill.
Man, the government gonna shut you down.
What, for growing my own tobacco?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I looked into the law. There's a certain amount you can grow that's technically legal. You just can't sell it.
Okay.
So I guess it all depends on how I would go about doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I gotta roll up out of here. So let's bring this to a wrap. Thank you for checking out Channel 10 Podcast. We're gonna hit you with new materials and everything. We're trying to get our lives situated. So we do apologize for the hiatus, but hit us up, channel10podcast, gmail.com, channel10podcast.com, Twitter, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, all of that.
Feeling is here.
And yeah, we out.
Man, what up?
Peace.
Son? You gotta just do it, yo. Yo, what up, man? It's a different channel, son. What up? On, man. What up? Watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
So good.
What up? All good, baby, in every hood, son. What up, yo? CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas that's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef.